This one is also quite tricky. As you know, the United States was very worried about, in the 1920s, we were making a lot of goods, which was great. But as you know, there's the demand is not keeping up with the supply. And if the demand is not keeping up with the supply, that means that there are too many goods, sitting in warehouses, for example, that are not selling. And that means that we need markets to sell our goods. Okay, so think Ford, think vacuum cleaners, think washing machines, that kind of thing, irons, stoves, whatever, household items. So if we are not selling them, then we need a place to sell them. So let's say that we're also competing, though, with European goods. So they're making those kinds of things, and they're wanting to sell them here. So that brings you back to this slide, which I think you can see. So in this situation, we have cloth. This is, an older example, but a good one. They're making cloth in Britain. We're making cloth here. We want American cloth to be sold. You could translate that into cars. You could translate that into washing machines and irons and all kinds of stuff. Same idea. So if we would like our products sold, the government wants to help sell those products by protecting American trade. It's called protectionism. And that means that they put a tariff on goods coming into the country. So that British cloth is going to have a 25% tariff, which is going to add $1 to the price. And so when you go shopping, you could either buy American, which would be cheaper, or you could buy the British, which would be more expensive. So if I go shopping for a car if I go shopping for a Toyota or versus a Ford today, if there's a tariff on the Japanese car, the Toyota, that makes the American car cheaper, most likely. And that's exciting for the American automakers, because then I'm likely to buy that. But the big piece of that then is that Japan or Britain or Germany, they are going to be annoyed by that. And they're going to say, okay, if you're going to do that to us, we're going to do it to you. Which means, if you look at this, I thought this was a great graphic, then we start building these tariffs around our countries, and they're getting higher and higher and higher, and it creates sort of a wall around those countries, and it makes it more expensive to trade, and it makes it more unlikely for people to buy our goods at a time in which we really need people to buy American goods because we have so many things overstock in the warehouse. We need markets. And it ends up backfiring. Just so we're clear, this is Europe a long time ago. And now, because of the European Union, would you like to say hello?
What are you doing?
It's my students.
Hello.
Hello, Nate.
How
Okay.
are you?
All right. They're not actually on right now. Okay.
Oh,
That's all right. So if the European Union means that right now, anyway, there are no taxes when you trade between those countries, which means it's pretty cheap to trade among those countries, which is exciting. If it continues, there's problems. There's other stuff that's going on. Since the recent election, in the recent election, both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump started talking about, or was it Hillary Clinton? It was Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, I think, that were talking about tariffs, and Trump is still talking about tariffs, especially with China. So this is a hot issue that is still an issue. Okay, I went on too long. I'm sorry. It is a problem because it ended up backfiring, and when we needed to be able to sell our goods in markets around the world, it made it more difficult, more expensive, and people, because of these protective tariffs, it made it more difficult for our American companies to sell their goods at a time when we needed them. I'm done. Hope that makes sense.